All right, welcome back to today's episode. Today we have Nadia here with Bad Pie Shop, and she is local. She is Calgary. I just got her pies this weekend, and they are phenomenal. So here we are, and we're going to be interviewing her. Hey, Nadia, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, thanks. So I just actually recently heard about your business, and you said you've been doing this for a while. So tell me all about it.
Yeah. It was about 4 years ago, and actually exactly this weekend, 4 years ago. It's our fourth birthday on Saturday. I've been making pies for about 10 years before I started the company, and I never had a thought in my mind to start a company or to do pies. It was just always something that was really fun. And a friend of mine, I made him some pie, and he said, "You should team up with my wife and you guys should just start a company." And so for the first month, I worked with his wife as my partner, and then things just moved on, and she didn't quite have the time that I had to give to it. In the beginning, it was very slow moving. I never thought it would, I always say this, I never thought it would be as successful and like busy as it is now, but I'm so thankful for that. So it all started, I was living in Southern California. I was bored out of my mind babysitting, and I just thought, I'm going to Google a pie and I'm going to just make a pie. And I made pies. And from then it was always the same apple pie. And then it's probably been about 12 years since then. And here we are.
Wow, that's awesome. Which, by the way, that apple pie was so on point. Like, I'm always looking for the best apple pie. And I got to say, that takes the cake. That takes the pie.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when you started your business, what did you think being successful was going to look like?
I think from the very beginning, I wanted to put infrastructure in place so that one day it could succeed really well, if that makes sense. At the time, I was the operations manager for a local business called Luke's Drug Mart. I didn't have a lot of time to give to it. But I was like, if people order, we'll just start everything online. If people order, I'll make them pies and just kind of see how it goes. It was very much like, I'm just going to jump in and just see. I have a couple of friends that have an incredible marketing social media company here in Calgary called Arcade. And they did all of the branding. They did all of the social media for the first couple of months and all the photo shoots. And honestly, I would say that's what set me up, where people, even to this day, they think I'm much more successful than I am because I have the like branding in place from the beginning. And I had people say to me, "You're crazy. Why would you pay all this money to have marketing and branding, and you're not even making money on the company?" But I knew down the road that it was going to be like the right move to put that stuff in the beginning.
Yeah. Was that something you just like intuitively knew, or where do you think that came from?
I honestly don't know. I would say that 90% of what I do, I have no reason to like, I have no explanation to why I've done it. There's certain things that have just they've kind of just happened. Like, I feel like this company kind of happened to me, and the success has been through connecting with different people and just meeting the right people at the right time in the right moment. And there's work that you put into it, and there's practice that you put into your craft. But for the most part, it has been just kind of an exciting adventure.
That's awesome. Adventures are always great, especially in business. Yeah. So now that you have a level of success now, and you've seen things take off over the past little bit, compared to what you thought it was going to look like, how does it differentiate?
Well, this time last year, I had a friend, he looked at me and he was like, because I'd been laid off from my job for COVID, and we were just talking, and he's like, "Well, if you could make like 6 pies a week, like you could live off this." We're kind of strategizing, and it's crazy to look back on that now, because at that point I was like, 6 pies a week, that feels like a lot. And now I do much more than that. And I had no idea that it's all about timing. I decided I took probably about a year off unintentionally just because of jobs. This has always been my like side hustle or my hobby. And I never thought that I would get to do it full time, but I'm excited to be able to do that. And yeah, it was this time last year that I was just like, okay, I think I'm going to relaunch it on Instagram and just let people know I'm here, I'm doing it. And that was right at the beginning of lockdown. And I never thought about it, but I started talking to people and I put out this idea called pie drops. And so people started dropping pies on people's porches because they couldn't visit them or people that were in quarantine. And it really took off. So again, it felt like this like timing thing that I didn't like strategically plan for, but it all just happened in the right time. So usually it used to be just like holidays, but now it feels like the momentum has picked up. So there's not many weeks since January that I've had no orders. So it's pretty consistent now, which is nice.
Wow, that's awesome. That's super inspiring. And it sounds like over the last 4 years, you've had a lot of support go into your building this and the people that you surround yourself with. Is that environment something you intentionally create, or is that something that also kind of happened as you went through the process of building this business?
You're breaking up a little bit. I'm not sure if I caught the end of that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think you froze for a sec. Do I have you back?
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah. Okay. I said, is that environment something that you intentionally create, or is that something that happened as you went through building this business?
That's a great question. I feel that it's part of my personality. I've always been very drawn to community. I've been very drawn to building community within my friends and having them involved in everything I do. The Instagram post that we were posting last night was just a bunch of friends around a barbecue. And then we took that moment to use the photos for the happy birthday bad pie. And it was really cool because my heart is that I don't do this alone. I never set out to do it alone. I always wanted to do it in collaboration with other people. And I would say that's just like a big part of who I am as a person. And so I think it has spilled out into the business because, and I even like the language is, I try to never say me or I, even when I'm talking to people and they think that I have like a whole staff doing this with me, but it's again, so that one day down the road we can expand and there's like language for that, if that makes sense. But I think it's partially just kind of who I am, but just understanding the importance that like we're better together. And so doing things in collaboration for me, I'm like, it's not just about, I want to sell a bunch of pies for the bad pie birthday. I'm like, I have for 4 years been able to be a part of everyone's celebrations. And I want everyone to be a part of my celebration, if that makes sense.
Yeah, powerful, especially being in community and really getting that, like nothing happens in a vacuum, right? You always have your team and how much a business can grow when you have that team. So that's such an important principle that you already have that a lot of business owners actually have to learn. So that's really cool. All right, they say that smart people learn from their mistakes, but wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So what's 1 or 2 mistakes that you've made along the way that other entrepreneurs can learn from?
Well, okay, when I saw this, I was like, this is probably the one that'll be the hardest to answer. I feel like I make so many mistakes every day, but part of making pie, part of the process of baking is learning as you go. So I would say, just for a funny one of the biggest like actual like physical mistakes I made was I set a pie on fire once. I made a s'more pie and I was broiling it and the marshmallows on top literally caught fire, but I was living with a firefighter at the time and she handled the situation. So that's definitely a mistake that I made. But as far as like in business, I think I'm just constantly learning and constantly growing. I would say one of the biggest things is to stay open and to always be learning from other people that are doing it better than you. and asking questions, or like constantly. I actually follow an influencer baker named Joy the Baker. And she's inspired me to do so many things when it comes to social media. There's so many things I just don't know, but I can learn from people around me, if that makes sense. And but I would say another one of the biggest mistakes that I constantly make is underestimating myself. Is going into each holiday, my roommates laugh at me because I'm like, it'll be great, I'll be fine. And I always get more orders than I think I'm gonna get every single time. I'm always like, yep, I'm ready, I've got all the groceries I need, I've got everything I need to do. I'll probably get like 10 pies, and then I get like 60.
Wow.
And that happens constantly. So I think which is a great problem to have. But I think that I constantly just think, well, I'm just this one person that's doing this thing. And like now I'm in a place where it's not just my friends and family. Like when you're starting, you have all this support network around you. When you move past like into people that you don't even know, and you're like, I don't know how you heard of me or whatnot. That's when you just kind of, you realize that it's not just people that love you and want to support you. It's actually people that are excited about your product. So I think just constantly trying to not underestimate myself would be something that I work on.
Yeah, there's definitely a fine balance for that, right? Especially when you don't know that orders are going to be coming in at like 2 weeks out even, right? Sometimes you could be like, get an order the day before, 2 days before, and you're like, oh, well, I got to go get ingredients for that. Or, yeah.
And they always come in last minute.
Yeah,
that's exactly something I've learned is like, be as prepared as you can, but know that 2 days before the deadline, all the orders will come flowing in.
Yeah, especially with food. Like Instagram's so big for that, with when you're promoting a food product or a food service. And I've seen so many business owners grow just through Instagram alone.
Yeah, and that was the marketing team that I worked with. That was kind of the model that they suggested to me, was just doing Instagram. I do a bit of Facebook, but mostly it's just Instagram flowing in onto Facebook. And it's been really, just based on focusing on the Instagram, focusing on the feed, putting out lots of fun photos. And every time I do that, I'll get DMs or questions or new followers.
Yeah, I love it. That's amazing. Nadia, where can people find you?
Instagram at badpieshop is the best place to find me. I don't know how I've gotten away this long without a website. Need to get that done. You can also email me at exo@badpieshop.ca.
Okay, cool. And then the order form and everything, how do they?
Yeah, there's a link in our bio. You just have to start filling it out by putting your email and whatnot out, and then you'll see the full menu. Or you can just email or DM. Lately, people have just been DMing us on Instagram, and that's been really helpful. It's quick and easy.
Awesome. And for you non-Instagram folks, DM is a direct message. Find her at Bad Pie Shop, hit the message. You can message her that way. Is there anything that you would like to offer?
I would love to offer a 10% discount to anybody that watched the interview. You can just send us a DM or put a note on your order form that you watched this interview, and I'll give you 10% off your order.
Awesome. Perfect. And again, just DM you, fill out the order form, however you want to order if they're ordering. Perfect. One last question. Tell me what's most inspiring to you today.
Most inspiring to me today, I just moved to a new area, Tuscany, and I was out walking this morning, and I was kind of exploring new rhythms where I have so many pies I needed to get done today. And I was like, I need to just grab a coffee, go for a walk. And honestly, that walk, being out in nature, being around like new neighbors and exploring this new neighborhood was just incredibly inspiring to me. So for today, in this moment, that was just the best way to have my morning started. And And I find that I'm much more successful in my day when I take even like 10, 15 minutes for myself before I get started.
Yeah, that's cool. And nothing like being in nature, especially too, on your own.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, Nadia, thanks for joining us on this show. Thanks for sharing your story and your expertise. And is there anything else that you'd like to say before we finish this conversation?
No, I think when you reached out to me, it was so encouraging, and I was literally like, why? There's so like this year, because I was featured on Global at Christmas time, and I got an influx of new followers. I've had a lot of influencers and a lot of people reach out, and I'm always like interested to know like why they gravitate towards this company and whatnot. So I love having these conversations, and I'm so honored that that you reached out and that somebody was excited enough about what I do that they wanted to share it with you, and then you got to taste the pie. It's just really fun how we can all be a part of it. I'm just as excited to make pie for people that they are to eat it. So yeah, I'm just really thankful to have a moment to chat with you. So thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks so much, Nadia.